Hello, hello. We are back with another GraphCMS update. So hi, I'm Emily, and we'll do a quick round of introductions because we have some new faces today. So Alex, if you want to kick it off, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Hi, I'm probably the newest face. I'm Alexandra Buckaloo. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager. I joined a month ago, so you'll be seeing a lot more of me in the future. Yeah. And next, I guess, if we want to do Jamie and Scott, if you want to introduce yourselves quickly.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Jamie, one of the DevRels here at GraphCMS, working on documentation, examples, tutorials, that kind of thing. Scott, over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Scott Spence. I'm a developer advocate here at GraphCMS as well as Jamie, and pretty much ditto for what Jamie does. Try to do introductory blog posts, examples, and videos.
Awesome. So I was intentionally vague on what we're doing here today because we're kicking off something new called our community update. Alex, if you want to share a little bit about what the community update is and why we've decided to start this new initiative.
Yeah, of course. So we will still have product releases or product updates. They will be every other month. And in lieu of those, every other month, we will have community updates. You guys are developing just as much as we are and doing some really cool projects. So we want to kind of shine a light on all of your projects, what you're doing with GraphCMS and beyond. So there'll be another one in October and then every other month after that. So we're going to kick it off with some GraphCMS employees, but we really want to kind of highlight you and invite you guys to join the live stream and show off what you're working on in the future.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully in the future, we'll also have our community members joining us and they'll be able to personally share their projects rather than us talking about their projects. So we'll really get to hear firsthand what it was like to work with GraphCMS and how they built a specific project and all that kind of stuff. So we're definitely really excited for this new initiative. But for the first round, we're keeping it in the family. And Scott will be our first addition for our community spotlight. And so Scott, maybe you want to share a little bit about some of the things that you've been working on with GraphCMS and just in your time?
Sure, yeah. So if you want to share my screen, Alex. So back towards the start of the month, mid-month actually, so when I got back from holiday, I did a little bit. Jamie and I had a discussion about making like a Linktree clone, and Jamie already had something made up for this, which I have just added a bit of styling to, and some deploy buttons for Netlify and for Vercel. So you can literally one click and just go through the process of adding your links for things like your personal site, your Twitter, LinkedIn, Dev2, Medium, all stuff like that. And full Jamstack, it'll just spit it out into a one-pager for you on whichever platform you want, so Vercel or Netlify. And that's it. That's yours forever. So that was fun, just doing that, just when I got back from holiday. And there's also the SpaceX Explorers. I've been working on the last several weeks now. And this is an implementation of the SpaceX API made by our Carlos here. I've taken it into a GraphCMS project, added a load of content for it. So this will be available as a starter pretty soon. And you'll be able to go in and spin up your own project with this information. We did the front end here. So this is everything just pulled from the SpaceX API, put into GraphCMS, and then I built the front end here with SvelteKit using endpoints, and started with Tailwind and Daisy UI. So that's fun. That'll be all done soon. I've literally just made the starter public on the GraphCMS organization, so you can check it out if you want to. And yeah, that's it for me, really.
Looks really good. Looking really good. Going back to your shortcuts thing, that's just something someone can deploy, right? So they can just deploy this. They don't necessarily need a GraphCMS account. This is just something they can deploy to Netlify or Vercel. in one click, which is really cool, and you get that personalized page, which
so
you can customize, right?
Yeah, so you will need a GitHub account because it creates a repository for you on your GitHub account, and you also need either a Netlify or a Vercel account to get started. And once you've done that, it's just a case of putting in your details, like or any of your links, and then off you go. It builds in seconds, so it's pretty quick win with doing that.
And it just uses handlebars, right? So it's not doing anything with a
Yeah,
front-end framework.
let's go look at that.
It's literally just the it's using handlebars, I think, if I remember rightly, and then it just inserts the environment variables into the template. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, so it's just a one page.
Yeah,
that we run handlebars compile on, and we just pass it the environment variables as part of that, and then we just output the built file or the compiled handlebars file into the public directory, and that is something which Vercel is configured to read from, and Vercel Netlify read from as well. So pretty straightforward, I think. There's no front end frameworks or anything there. I don't think there needs to be when it's something as simple as this. But yeah, if you wanted to do more things, then maybe you could. But this is fairly straightforward.
We did manage to get Tailwind into it, though, didn't we?
We did.
With everything.
I can't remember if we're using.
That it's either Svelte, Tailwind, some of his favorite little frameworks.
I was using the CDN, but then I think you just put it into the build command, Jamie.
I was just about to ask, did I? Yeah, I added post CSS there. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, so it's nice and lean, even more lean than a one-page site could be, because it's not got the CDN, which is what I was using. Yeah,
which it just kind of goes to show, like, I think sometimes, and I include myself in this, but we're often too easy to just kind of reach for a framework that brings down a lot of weight sometimes. For something as simple as this, that's necessarily not always required. It might be nice to kind of get there, but until it's a problem, I say just start small. And there's other things like 11T which kind of do this out of the box, where that's just very, very bare bones, like that doesn't really have a framework or any opinions as such. I say opinions, does have its own opinions on conventions rather, but again, it's as simple as this, where it'll just generate an output static files. So yeah, you could obviously use that, which is just as lean, I think. Yeah.
Still not tried 11C myself, but the first thing I thought of when we discussed this was let's spin up a SvelteKit project, and you already had this, and it was a lot more straightforward. So it's like, sweet, let's just go with that. Yeah, it's fun learning about handlebars, which I've not used in two or 3 years. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's always nice to kind of go back to the I'm going to say old stuff. Like I used that for so long, but so long is even longer in the web world. So it feels nice to kind of go back and just use something that I hadn't used in a while. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, another thing that was really cool about this piece of content and kind of example, Scott, was that people actually did try and do it themselves, and it just goes to show how easy it was. And so we'll look at a community example later about someone who did actually take this example and run with it. But it's definitely, I always love to see that when you guys are creating these example projects, and then you get to finally see people actually build with them. So I think that's always really interesting. Cool. All right, so thanks, Scott, for sharing. It was awesome to have you as our first Community Spotlight member. Thank you for being the inaugural guest, and we're looking forward to having more projects from the community, and hopefully some folks from the community come on the stream in the future as well. So definitely, if you feel like it, if you think you have a cool project to share, or you want to share something you're working on with GraphCMS, definitely let us know. Reach out to us, and we'll go ahead and get you geared up for the next community stream. Now we'll kind of switch over to some of the projects that we saw from our community members that they shared with us that they would like to just give a little shout out to, and what some of the cool things that people have been working on with GraphCMS. So first off, we have this art portfolio project. Let's pull this up. Yes, so we have this art portfolio project from Ismay Wolf, and it's super simple, but also really well designed. It looks great. And he used GraphCMS as well as Next.js to build this website as well. And yeah, super, super cool.
And all of these websites that we're showing off for the community projects we'll have in the blog, and we'll also drop the link to the blog in the description afterwards in the YouTube video. So feel free to look around for yourself and kind of reach out to these people.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great point, Alex. And sorry, go ahead.
So I was about to say, is this a one-pager, or can you click through to the images for more information? And oh, sweet, yeah.
Oh, it looks like you can click through.
It's got the blur up on the image there. So if it's Next.js, I'm guessing they've used the next image. Looks nice.
It looks really nice.
And those hover animations.
Yeah, I really like those hover.
How are those done? Do you know?
That I don't know. If Ismay's watching this, let us know because we're very curious.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, but definitely super simple. But these little details just make it pop that much more. So very, very cool. And our next community project will be from Lee Halliday. He created this website for Privada Law. And he also was using GraphCMS for all of the content and platforming needs. And they have a really nice design here. And of course, it's a working website, so you can click through and see all of the different things that they offer. So another great community project. Thanks for sharing. And Lee's also created other content for us in the past. So definitely be sure to check out his blog post on Next.js with GraphCMS, talking about static site generation and API routes.
So I think this was Lee who actually built it, but I think it was someone called Marina, I can't remember the second name now, who did all of the design for this as well. So it's really sweet. When he showed me this, I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, definitely. The design is awesome as well. I believe the designer is Marina Cerna. So
Cerna, that's it. Yeah.
Very cool. And finally, last but not least, we have Scott, this will look familiar to you. We have someone who actually implemented your link tree example. And so this is from Cadu Castro Alves. He built this as well with Next.js and GraphCMS and Code Sandbox. And you can click through. And it loads. So awesome to see how people are actually implementing Scott's work. So very, very cool. Scott and Julie.
So he's using GraphCMS for the content on this as well?
Yes.
Nice.
I believe so.
That makes it easier than having to redeploy it every time, I guess. Having a CMS backing it up.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we didn't think of, Scott.
It's a one-time deploy.
You can only have one ever link in there.
They can't change ever, no.
So very, very cool. Always awesome to see everyone, their projects that they share with us. So continue to do that. You can reach out to us on Twitter or in our public Slack. We're always hanging out there. And
just to mention that this project is also open source on GitHub as well. That's
a good point. All of our examples are open source, right? We don't have any that aren't.
The ones that we do, yeah. But in particular, this community example is as well, which is really nice.
Definitely. Awesome. So yeah, definitely if you guys continue to have other community projects that you would like to share, please do so. We love hearing from them, and we love to share them as well. Okay, Jamie, I think you're starting a new initiative that you'd like to share a little bit about.
Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of announce the schedule for the remainder of this year, which is going to be product demos that happen once a month, and each month we'll walk through the same thing every month. So this is if you're finding GraphCMS for the first time, then you can come and watch along while we build a schema, while we create some content, use the content editor, maybe configure some API access and query or mutate that data with GraphQL. But there will be kind of a twist to each live demo, and that they will be unique because towards the end we'll look at a specific feature, whether that's UI extensions, remote fields, granular permissions, and in December there'll be something new which we've been working on that I'll kind of showcase as well. So yeah, really looking forward to kind of just spending that time once a month and just kind of giving a live demo. Anybody who is kind of onboarded with us as a customer knows to kind of get some really great support and kind of get the opportunity to kind of speak to us and walk through the product a bit more in depth. This is just something which, out of all of that, certainly over the last few years of me doing this with customers, I kind of just want to bring this to being a live thing. So this is something which I'll still continue to do kind of behind the scenes, but also this is something that I kind of want to bring out and do live on YouTube as well. It's just to give a full product demo. And it's a great opportunity for people to join and ask questions as well, as I'm kind of going through it. So if you got kind of any questions on what I'm showing, then that's the opportunity to ask and kind of make the demo interactive in that way. So I'm looking forward to that. All of the links to YouTube are on there, so you can set a reminder for each of the live demos and the order of play as well. So looking forward to that very much.
Awesome. Yeah, no, this will be amazing. I mean, I'm also thinking of, people who have new people joining to their team and don't necessarily need a whole product walkthrough for the entire team, but for someone new just wants a little bit of a quick onboarding. These sound great for that and all that sort of thing. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing these in action.
Me too.
With some of the other content that we've been working on this month, I know you, Jamie, and Scott have been very busy. So you've been working on GraphCMS as a source for GraphQL mesh. That was a really cool example. Maybe do you want to share a little bit about what you were doing here?
Yeah, this just walks through configuring the GraphQL mesh package, which is open source by the Guild. Basically, what that package allows you to do is connect multiple data sources, whether it be a GraphQL endpoint, a REST endpoint that follows Swagger, OpenAPI, whether it's a Mongoose model, anything that's kind of has a definition, a type definition, or some structure schema. It can turn into an endpoint that is fully typed, and you have the ability to kind of customize all of that as well. So it's a really cool open source project that I've been working with recently. And this article just shows you how to use GraphCMS as a data source and a weather API as a data source. And I also think, if I remember rightly, this post shows how you can kind of connect the two. So you can, we see a lot of customers that use our remote fields feature to do this, or they may have something already existing that they need to integrate. They could already be using GraphQL mesh or schema stitch, and this is just kind of a play on that idea. And this post just kind of hints at how you go about doing this, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. It was fascinating to read and really cool to see how it all fits together.
I was about to say the YouTube video on this is really good as well, Jamie.
Yeah,
really like that.
Yeah.
With you can add, like you say, open API endpoints. Is that just because of, I'm guessing the open API, you need to have it fully documented, and I'm guessing GraphQL mesh uses that to understand how to make all of the like resolvers for it.
Exactly. Yeah. You can write your own type definitions and hook up where to get. I think you can write your own type definitions, and then you can create resolvers to resolve those type definitions. So it's a pretty all-in-one solution for building like a gateway. And it's kind of it's a really nice product, and you have a lot of control on bringing different APIs into the same endpoint. So if you kind of want to take GraphQL at its word, every time GraphQL is mentioned, it's one endpoint to rule the world. But if you are using multiple APIs, you're still going to be using multiple endpoints. So if you want to take GraphQL at its word, this is one way you can go about it to bring all of that together under one API endpoint. So it's really nice, and there's a few examples on their website. The one I used, I think, was with this weather API, but you could use a payment gateway, a subscription service, and then kind of, if you're getting data from one of those, you could then dive deeper into that model and get all of the fields. But those fields could be resolved from GraphCMS. So, and it works both ways. So it's really nice way to kind of connect all of these tools together. So check it out. It's by the Guild, an open source group that creates some amazing stuff in the GraphQL space.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a question here on how mesh differs from content federation. So we have an approach at GraphCMS with remote fields where we will take your type definition for a remote endpoint or something. So, and then you can type that directly into GraphCMS, and we will handle the data access there and the kind of hosting that gateway. So with GraphQL Mesh, you have to host this. And with GraphCMS's approach to content federation and all of the ideas we want to explore with that, we would take care of that for you. So we would host the kind of the functionality in the back end logic to fetch data from all of these different sources and bring them back into your GraphCMS endpoint.
Very cool. I hope that helps, definitely. But thanks for that quick definition of that, Jamie. Another content piece that you were working on was the querying GraphCMS content with Urquell?
Urquell, yeah.
Maybe you want to give a little highlight of what you were doing here?
Yeah, so we've got similar articles on the blog already showing how to use GraphCMS with front-end frameworks and libraries. This example shows how to use core Urquell, which is basically using like the engine under the hood to do what you want with it. So it's not tailored or specific to a framework. It's just kind of the inner logic, the metal, the core that lives beneath it all. So I think if you scroll down on here, the core example, I create a client with Urquell, and then this is a Next.js example. And if you're using their static props, I use the client, and then I make a request to GraphCMS and return a static props to my page, some products from GraphCMS. And again, there's another example on here that you're on now, which shows how to use variables with that. And this approach with Urquell, if you're requesting an API in the front end, you want to use the React version because that can rehydrate and has all the benefits there. But with the core Urquell, when you're statically building something, you don't need to worry about that, in my opinion. So you can just fetch the data. You could just fetch it with plain old fetch over HTTP, or you could just use Urquell's kind of built-in fetch library. Some people might include the GraphQL request library to create a client. This is more or less the same thing under the hood. In this example anyway, we're not using any of the other Urquell benefits, but the real power of Urquell is when you use their library of front-end adapters, I'm going to call them. They've got one for React, Svelte maybe, and the other frameworks they've got tools for, like Vue and stuff.
I'd just like to compliment Ken Wheeler on the name as well for it.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, the last piece of content. I know you actually did this in July, Scott, but I can't remember if we've highlighted this in the last.
I don't think so.
So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think I was on holiday when you published this actually. So possibly not. I think this was the last thing I did before I went off on holiday for nearly 3 weeks. So maybe not. Cool. So this is the GraphCMS implementation of Polywork, but it's just a timeline of your work. So I think the way Polywork describes it is not just your like professional achievements, but anything you'd want to highlight in a timeline. You can just add it to here. So there is the blog post sort of walks you. I can't remember what I did in the blog post. It walks you through setting up the schema, all the types and the field types. And then I think we use, I'm pretty sure we use GraphQL request with SvelteKit to connect to it and display the data. And I'm not sure if I go into styling it. Looks like we do. I think we just went past a Daisy UI bit.
Yeah.
So I just go into a bit of styling as well on how to make it look nice. Got a nice banner, and yeah, just a nice way to have, again, your own little timeline. You can either create it as a page on your SvelteKit site, or you could just deploy it as a standalone page where you could link people to, possibly link your link tree to it. So yeah, that was good fun making that. And again, with Daisy UI, super quick to just scaffold out the project with it. So really do like using it, and I'm a bit of a fan.
Very cool. Yeah, so lots of fun pieces of content where people can read the content and then go try it themselves. I think that's awesome, for sure. Alex, I know that we have a small, tiny product update. Maybe you want to share a little bit about it?
Yeah, of course. We will go into more detail next month when we get back to our original scheduled programming of product updates. But just to kind of give you guys a little teaser of something that we introduced recently was one-way references or unidirectional relations. It's kind of self-explanatory, but up until now we had bi-directional relations or two-way, so things were communicating back and forth or connected back and forth. But this just kind of gives you a more simplified way of connecting your content or content models. For example, we have our example in the documentation is a category that can only have one product, or a category that can have multiple products. So that's, yeah. So I will link the documentation to this, like I said before, in the YouTube comments or in the YouTube description, whatever it's called. And we'll have more about it in the future. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. It'll help with cleaning the clutter of your UI, and it will help with performance and a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're really excited about it. Yeah. Did I miss anything, Jamie, Scott?
I think you got it.
Good to hear.
All right.
You know, we like to keep it high level, and I mean, like you said, this is a pretty straightforward new little thing, and so we're happy to have this released. Jamie, I know you have one more thing to share on stuff you've been working on recently, so do you want to give it a shout?
Yeah. So this is GraphQL.wtf. This is a bunch of screencasts on GraphQL that will be that I'll be releasing weekly. So there'll be a new episode every Monday, or Monday will be the earliest that will be posted, but it could drop any time within that week. But I'm aiming for every Monday right now. You'll get a new episode. There's a bunch of stuff on there already, like the GraphQL mesh that I wrote an article on. I actually did a video on that. There's GenQL, there's authorization, renaming GraphQL fields with aliases, managing GraphQL requests with serverless functions. And then on Monday, there'll be how to create a custom GraphQL scalar or Scala, however you pronounce it. And that will walk you through how to create a custom one of those for an email address, I believe. So for anyone watching that has built their own GraphQL server, you can specify a custom scalar type, similar to how GraphCMS offers it. So with GraphCMS, you can add a location field, for example, or a JSON field. In the GraphQL type, in the schema, there's an actual scalar or Scala type for that. And I'll walk you through the same, and also walk you through how to validate that. So if someone submits a mutation, we'll validate and we kind of parse and transform it, so it can be stored on the back end. So they're just short videos that kind of dig a little bit deeper than the traditional getting started stuff, and kind of tackle individual use cases or problems or tools with GraphQL.
Cool.
And you can subscribe to the
I found
email.
this
You'll
really
get
useful.
you'll get an email every week if you subscribe to the email as well, with that new episode as well.
And we have a question in the comments if we want to go ahead and answer it. I'll put it on the screen here. Is there a possibility to include a user table to get the fine-grained row level security based on JWT?
So this is probably aimed at GraphCMS, not GraphQL.WTF. So with GraphCMS, we have a users table right now that is more for project users, but we'll be opening that up soon to allow you to add users programmatically, and give them roles, and be able to kind of write permissions that are scoped to that user, that set of users anyway, roles or groups or whatever. So you could create a permission that is get me all posts, and make sure that the user is by a certain, but get all posts by the author user ID or something. So you can kind of scope them that way. That kind of behavior is not something we support currently, but that is something which is we're working on. So if you've got any suggestions on how you would like that to look, feel free to join our Slack, and raise it in there. We'd be happy to kind of walk through how you would plan on implementing this from a client-side perspective, and then we'll try and do what we can to accommodate that on the back end. So yeah, feel free to join the Slack. I'd be more than happy to kind of chat with you more about this if you're interested.
And we'll drop the link to the Slack in the description after we finish the video. So if you are not already in the Slack, that's where you can find it. Or there's a link on our website as well. Awesome, Jamie, this is super cool. It's been really a joy to watch all of the videos, and so it's been very cool. And thanks for the sneak preview on what's coming next week. That's very insider information.
I really like the GraphQL Mesh Gateway one. That was super cool. I really like that.
I hope you like them all, Scott.
I'll be honest.
You haven't watched them, have you?
I haven't watched them all. I think I watched 2 or 3 of them, so I do apologise.
Great support.
Make sure I go through, like and comment, and follow and subscribe for each one.
You got it.
Yeah, I was pretty keen on using the GraphQL Meshes Gateway for something I was working on for Fathom Analytics, but it was a REST API, and they didn't have the Open API doc, so that was stopped before it even started. But Paul, or I can't remember the other guy's name, but if you're listening, please make it open spec so we can all use it.
Yeah,
this is just for my own selfish purposes for
yeah. I think you can infer. Yeah. You could maybe infer it as well. So you could throw an endpoint and you can give it all the endpoints and what fields they have, I think, and I think it will infer some spec, or you could just write the type definitions and it'll infer the resolvers. There's something there anyway that might make it possible.
All right, sweet. Maybe if I get a bit of time, I'll play a bit of it, but not this week. Maybe not next week either.
Sometime.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. All right, and so last but not least, GraphQL Conf is less than a month away. It's on the 29th of September, and so if you have not gotten your ticket yet, remember it is free and it is online. You don't have to travel. You can watch it from the comfort of your own home, but you have to have a ticket. So make sure to come up to the GraphQL Conf website, graphqlconf.org, and grab your ticket for free. We're so excited to have everyone. I know our team has been working really hard, and we've got some great speakers lined up as well. And I would be remiss if I did not mention our swag for GraphQL Conf. So this year we're doing swag a little bit differently. We're going to be doing random swag drops leading up to the conference. And so if you would like some GraphQL Conf swag, go ahead and sign up. If you go to GraphQL Conf, the website, and there's a tab for swag, and you can just sign up there, and we will let you know if you win some swag. You guys have all got your tickets, I'm assuming, to GraphQL Conf, yes?
Of course.
Yeah. I think I was ticket 4.
I was 10.
I was 9.
Durr.
Organizer perks. Okay. Alex, if you maybe want to just let people know kind of when the next community update will be and a little bit more about where they can get in touch with us?
Yeah, like I said before, I'll just reiterate, we're going to put all the links and stuff that we talked about today in the description of the YouTube video. So in case you're not a part of the Slack group or want to get more involved in the community, we'll make sure that that's all there for you. As a reference point, we will be doing community update or community release every other month. So our next one will be in October towards the end. We're aiming for about the third Thursday. That's the hope, dream, and wish. So pay attention for that, and we'll do a call out for any community members that want to show off their work. We want to make sure that these live streams in the future are based around our communities. So we really want you to be the celebrity star for the day. So please reach out and get a hold of us. And next month in September, we'll be doing the product release. We have a lot of kind of fun, exciting stuff, updates, new features to talk to you guys about. So that will be on next month. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining today. I found this super interesting. It was great to see all of the stuff that we're working on for the community and all the stuff that the community is working on. So looking forward to the next time we do this. All right. See you guys later.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.